Get on board the Bernier bus train. Come get on board the Bernier bus train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't no time for turning back. Oh, get on board the Bernier bus train.
Hello, I'm Alan Howell, a member of Revolt Against Plutocracy, an organization supporting campaign finance reform to outlaw government by the rich and to legalize democratic order based on political equality for all. If you are wondering, plutocracy is government by and for its wealthiest citizens. We have information that the mainstream media will not share, but it's vital for Democrats who want to defeat Donald Trump. The idea that the Democrats are down to 3 candidates is an illusion because polled citizens don't know about 6 categories of voters who will not vote Democrat in the general election unless it is someone like Bernie Sanders. Democrats who watch MSNBC certainly don't know who is the most electable candidate. The TV news media, New York Times, Washington Post, they're all censoring this information because there's a consensus among them that Senator Sanders cannot be allowed to win the Democratic Party nomination. Our peaceful revolution will not be televised. In rough numerically increasing order, the categories of citizens are, number 1, DSA, members of Democratic Socialists of America, who passed a Bernie or bust resolution at their recent national conference. We, however, are concerned that they will not take this resolution seriously and that many will vote for Elizabeth Warren in the general election if she is the nominee. Categories 2 and 3 are Bernie or bust and Bernie or Trump. Based on 2016 post-election polling, about 8% of Sanders supporters are Bernie or bust and 12% are Bernie or Trump. Together, these 2 categories of voters add up to enough votes to account for Clinton's defeat in the last election. Number 4 is the unmeasured Bernie or bust generation, consisting of first- and second-time voters and college students who will not vote unless Sanders is the nominee. If you total the previous categories, you won't add up to the 5th category, which is poor and poorly educated people. American poor people who need a livable wage, free health insurance, or $1,000 a month in extra income. These voters will come out for only someone like Senator Sanders or perhaps Andrew Yang. This category is revealed by a study published in 2018 called Brahmin Left versus Merchant Right by the French economist Thomas Piketty. He looked at 70 years of election polling, which showed that poor and poorly educated voters will go to the polls, but only for a social democrat, the European version of democratic socialism that Sanders ascribes to. Sanders is not just the strongest candidate to defeat Trump, he's the only candidate who can unite the blue no matter who Democratic Party loyalists and broaden the winning coalition, not in spite of his ideology, but because of it. That brings us to category 6, independent voters. Independent voters in swing states are not nearly as likely to vote blue if their lives have been ravaged by NAFTA and other trade agreements. Even though these voters are waking up to the fact that Donald Trump lied to them, they already know, from what has happened over the last 40 or 50 years, not to trust Democrats. Bill Clinton and Barack Obama have done at least as much harm as the Reagan and both Bush presidencies to keep them from trusting any establishment candidate. Compare Trump's atrocities with those of any recent president. Go clear back to the Nixon era and trace any substantive differences in the way working class people have been treated by both parties over the years. Neither party has shown itself to be trustworthy. And there's one more reliable category of voters. The blue 1%ers, the Wall Street bankers, who already announced that they will back Trump if establishment candidate Senator Warren is the nominee, setting up a clear choice between the 99% versus the plutocrats and their bankers. Bernie isn't just more likely to defeat Trump, but unless there's a recession, he's the only candidate who can be sure to win and have coattails for other progressive down-ballot candidates. In a contest between progress versus plutocracy, most voters will side with the Western European style of social democracy that Sanders calls democratic socialism, if for no other reason than to defeat Donald Trump. According to polling, people know that Trump is dishonest and that Bernie is very honest. In summary, the blue no matter who Democratic Party loyalists say they will be a part of a Sanders coalition, but the plutocratic funders of the Democratic Party will switch to red to help the neo-fascist Trump. Because of climate change, Bernie or bust is actually burn or burn. Most independent voters know about the climate emergency, and because of the ability of the internet to help Bernie's information get out around the corporate media blockade, we have a better chance than ever to get this agenda out so you can share it with fellow voters. There are more independents, for example, who are with Sanders' agenda than are against it. In 2016, Bernie or bust was a prediction. But with that election's data and knowledge of Piketty's poor and poorly educated citizens, we know this time around that Bernie or bust is a foregone conclusion. The choice for Democrats is either to become a party of the people or a party of Wall Street. Even now, the choice boils down to only two. You can have Bernie or you can have Trump. The stakes could not possibly be higher. In terminology that stems from the climate crisis, burn or burn means revolution or extinction. Citizens demanding Bernie Sanders as the Democratic Party nominee are the adults in the room. We don't merely want a revolution. Human survival requires one.
Get on board the Bernie or bust train. Come get on board the Bernie or bust train. Once you hear that clickety-clack, there ain't